So you have a talent for baking. Have a sweet tooth that makes absolutely no sense at all. Call it a hobby, but could definitely use some money on the side. But you're not quite sure where to start. You've come to the right channel. Here at Marisha's Couture Cakes, we can help you take your hobby to the next level. Class is in session. Hey Cake Nieces, it's Marisha, teacher Marisha for the day. We are back to school, so let's start this class. So in the previous video, I told you guys that, what did I say in the previous video? The previous video was how I started baking from home. So now that you've got that feeling of, I think I can do this, and you've got some ingredients, you may have some orders coming in. Hello, can I get a cake, please? Now you need to have some costing education. In this lesson, we are going to be learning how to calculate our food costs. That's not to get confused with how to price your cakes, which will come in the next video. But you have to watch this one before you click out to watch the next one. Cake Nieces, take your seats, please. We're only going to be here for a few minutes because I don't like to do a long class. And I have my As If Clueless t-shirt on because, you know, back to school. Yes, no, get it, you don't? Okay, that's all right. By now, you should have your standard cake recipe, your cupcake recipe, your cookie recipe, whatever it is, you've got the recipe. That is the first step. In this specific video, we're going to talk about ounces. So if you're using cups, go ahead and convert that to ounces. 1 cup of water equals 8 ounces of water. 1 cup of sugar is what, like 7.2 ounces, 5 point something ounces, 6 or 7 ounces. I used to remember. I don't have to anymore. Okay, the unit. Oh, my chalk isn't. Oh, what kind of cheap chalkboard did I get? Unit cost, the cost of each individual item. To come up with the unit cost, we must first divide the whole thing into the ounce. Let's pretend like we're in a large bakery. We're gonna buy a 50-pound bag of sugar because buying things in bulk is always cheaper. 1 50-pound bag of sugar, $22. We want to know how much it costs by the ounce because we are not using 55 pounds per recipe, now are we? There are 16 ounces in 1 pound. So that is 50 pounds times 16 ounces, which equals a whopping 800 ounces. Because that's a whole lot of sugars. My recipes only call for about 2 cups of sugar, which is about 14 ounces, give or take, okay? To find out how much sugar I'm actually using per recipe, I have to take this 800 and divide that by $22. And doing that math, we find out that the $22 that we spent on that 50-pound bag of sugar converted to 800 ounces, that equals 3 cents per unit. 1 unit is 1 ounce. I know that I use about 14 ounces of sugar per recipe. The math for that would be 3 cents per ounce times the 14 ounces that I use in each recipe, which gives me 42 cents. That means that I use 42 cents worth of sugar in every 8-inch cake. This is the formula that you would use for every single ingredient in your recipe. Now let's move on to an example that's more realistic for us home bakers. Eggs. Eggles, as I like to call them. I never spend $3 for a dozen eggs because I know where to go, okay? That is a very, average price. So let's say that 1 dozen eggs equals $3. My vanilla cake recipe uses 3 eggs. The math equation for that looks something like this. 1 dozen equals $3. Then we have to figure out how much each individual egg costs, which is $3 divided by 12 eggs, giving us 25 cents an egg, which is 20 cents too much if you ask me. So that calculation is now 25 cents times 3 eggs, which means that I use 75 cents worth of eggs in every vanilla cake recipe. 42 cents of sugar. Oh, no it didn't. You little sneaky thing, you. I used to definitely put this thing to the side just a little bit Try to make it, you know, cute for class. But anyway, now let's move on to an example that is a liquid. So definitely we're all using milk in our cakes. If you're not, tell me that secret. So we're typically buying milk by the gallon. How would you easily convert that into cups or ounces if you wanted to? Allow me to help you out. Allow me to help you out. So this is a chart that I learned in middle school that I never forgot because it's just so easy once you remember it. So basically the large G stands for a gallon. Within that gallon you're putting 4 Q's, which stand for quarts. Each quart is going to have 2 P's for pints, and then each pint, look at the camera stand, sorry. Each pint has 2 cups. There are approximately 2 cups in a pint, 2 pints in a quart, and 4 quarts in 1 gallon. If I'm buying 1 gallon worth of milk for $4, but I'm only using 1 cup of milk, that means that I am going to divide 4 by 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 cups. $4 per gallon divided by the 16 cups that is in each gallon equals 25 cents per cup. It's because 1 cup equals 8 ounces, bow, that I am spending 25 cents worth of milk in each of my vanilla cakes. We can also do oil. Oil is another liquid. We can break it down in the same way, except you're typically not buying oil by the gallon. I usually buy it by the quart. I'm just gonna say my oil would be around $3 per quart. $3 per quart divided by the 4 cups in each quart. 3 divided by 4 equals, what's that, 75 cents? 75 cents for 1 cup or 8 ounces of vegetable oil that I use in my vanilla cake, which makes it so moist, so delicious. Now let's get to the ingredients that you can't quite measure. So you're like, how in the world do I measure salt, which you only use between a 1/4 teaspoon and a table, hopefully you're not using a tablespoon, but you may, I don't know. How do you measure baking powder? How do you measure baking soda? You're only using this small little amount. I got something for that. The Q factor. The questionable ingredients factor covers the ingredients that are difficult to measure. Now most food service establishments use a Q factor of between 1 and 5%. I feel like because we're baking and we're talking about small businesses and small home baking, but you may be popping. I don't know. This one is up to you. So I could say for myself, I would definitely only keep it at about 1%. Take your food costs that you've come up with and multiply that by the Q factor percentage that you feel is best. Now that we have the cost of all the ingredients that I'm gonna do for today, just pretend that my cakes are only oil and milk and eggs and sugar. We're going to add up the 25 cents worth of milk that I spent in my recipe, the 75 cents worth of eggs, the 42 cents worth of sugar, and the 75 cents worth of oil. $2.17. So of course, if I did everything in my recipe, it would be a little bit more than that. Probably about $4 or less. So typically I am spending $4 or less to make my cake. Now that does not include the tools and all the other things, okay, that go into making the cakes. Cake boards definitely vary in prices. I typically get a pack of 5 for about $5, so that is $1 per cake board. Now you want fondant. By golly, good Molly. This is why I prefer to make my fondant from scratch, because it's literally $2 versus 10 and upwards. You're saving 80% by making it from scratch. However, realistically speaking, I may sometimes buy the fondant if it's a large project. With a coupon, I always have a coupon, sugar no. And I use the whole pack typically when I buy a pack of fondant. So I'm gonna add that $4 to my cake cost, okay? $4 worth of fondanta. I'm gonna say $5 for the fondant. Cause it's like, yeah, it's like $5. It's like $5 for me. Okay. That thing just hiked the price up. The fondant is now worth the same that it costs to make the cake, which means if you add fondant to the cakes, you better hike that sucker up a good amount. So I'm gonna stop there for a typical cake. Just a fondant covered cake, no dowels or anything like that, nothing more, nothing less. And that comes to $10. It cost me $10 to make this standard fondant covered cake. This process may seem very difficult for you guys. You may feel like I don't know how to price anything out, and there are ways around that. So there are a lot of markets, for example ShopRite.com, that break it down per ounce for you. So all you have to do is go put in the ingredient, it shows up how much it is per ounce, and then you just multiply that by the amount that you use. There are also templates that you could just plug in your ingredients to. I actually have one. If I can share it with you guys, I definitely will. So for that, you will want to have a standardized recipe for your product, whatever it is, with the exact measurements, and then from there you can plug that into the cost control and it will just give you the answer. In a nutshell, that was a quick video on how to cost out your cakes. This will lead into how to properly price your cakes, okay? Which you have to stay tuned for. I will be doing a Q&A video. All of the questions that you guys want to know, so please leave them down below. I'm gathering questions from all of you guys and saving them. Subscribe to the channel and like the video and share it. Thank you. Oh, wow.